right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for viewing the Lunch and Learn today. And today's topic is on the Fairy Godmother Project. My name is Sarah Parker Gray, and I'm the Adult Services Librarian at the Fredericksburg branch. And today we have Jen Schaefer with us from the Fairy Godmother Project. And she is the Community Engagement and Development Coordinator. So, hi, Jen. And I'm going to remove myself, and you can go ahead and start on your presentation.
Thank you so much. Hello, everybody. Thank you for taking the time to do a little lunch and learn and learn more about the Fairy Godmother Project. Our mission is just as what it says. We ease the day-to-day burdens for life for the families facing all phases of pediatric cancer here in our planning district, health district, as well as a couple areas outside. So I'll describe that a little bit later. We've been around since 2011. We became a 501c3 in 2013, and we continue to serve families in the area. So what does that really mean? Pediatric cancer is definitely different than adult cancer. A child is still in development, and so you're going to do medications and things differently. And so on the national level, this gives you an idea of how many youth are diagnosed. It is inherently a rare cancer, a rare disease, pediatric cancer is. And your younger children tend to get diagnosed with leukemia, older children lymphoma, and then of course there's a variety of different tumor types. And so, you hear cancer, but there's a lot behind the scenes that occurs to get children the right cancer treatment. And we hope, of course, we always hope our goal is to make sure these children survive the treatment and live full and happy lives. Sadly, we do lose children, unfortunately. They have made great improvements, but we do have roughly about 10% of that total that you saw previous slide that will pass away. So, the Fairy Godmother Project, we are focused on helping those families with particular things during their day-to-day, but it doesn't take away that funds are needed for pediatric cancer research. Funds are needed to help children with specific things. So you might think about, say, Make-A-Wish Foundation or St. Jude's. Those are all really great organizations, but I'm just going to help you understand something that's been going on the local level. And like I said, the rates are getting better. They're staying about consistent, but we do want to make sure that we're there for families. It is an isolating event that you can feel very alone, that nobody understands. So the Fairy Godmother Project helps with those aspects. Treatment, again, when you hear about treatment, adult treatment, pediatric treatment, you'll hear some of those similar words: chemotherapy, radiation, clinical trials. But again, being that it's very unique, that a child is still in development, bone development, their puberty, things like that, it takes a whole new level to try to make sure that we are doing things that make sense for that child. So we just always tell people to just kind of educate yourselves in understanding that difference between the pediatric oncology and the adult oncology. And that's therefore then treatment can last a lot longer for children, because you're trying to kind of make sure and monitor how their development is going along with that cancer treatment. Case in point then is that because of the research that's been occurring, families tend to be in treatment a little bit longer. It used to be like about 15 to 24 months, and now the average is more like over 2 years. And if the average is 28 months, you're going to have a child that might be in there a little bit longer. Some of the things that I'm a twice cancer survivor, and I certainly experience a lot of issues, long-term effects from radiation chemo as an adult. I, again, want to emphasize that a child and their family is going to need support, because they might have to go to occupational therapy, speech therapy, physical therapy, different things that because of the impact of different treatments due to the developmental process that's happening alongside. And of course, there's the emotional effects. And we want to make sure that the child, the sibling, parents, grandparents, people that are part of that family structure have support. But that support doesn't just go away. If the child does survive the cancer, which is definitely the outcome we hope for and we see is often the case, we don't want to just drop support services for them. And one of the things that we tend to talk about is that then, of course, those are the intangibles. The tangible is making a meal or dropping off a holiday basket or something like that. But those intangibles that people might not realize are happening behind the scenes are the tension, the stress, the financial burdens are huge, things that are just really hard for people to talk about and to ask for help, especially when it is a child that has cancer. And that is so overwhelming and so shocking to the system that sometimes it's hard to ask for that help. I think it's a really important statistics for people to know that families definitely express unmet need. Close to about 82% of families report that they will have a significant financial burden, a loss of income, a loss of job, something associated to that. And again, like I said, it's often a hidden burden. It's something that is not discussed. They obviously report those unmet needs in a variety of different ways, but I think a lot of times people have a misconception that all this support is coming to a family, and it's not to negate people volunteering their time or donating, but there's so many layers to it because pediatric cancer has a huge ripple effect. And hopefully by just learning a little bit more about what we do at the Fairy Godmother Project today, you can kind of think about how you can support those going through pediatric cancer. And it's really about listening and hearing what is being said and not kind of making assumptions of what they need and kind of saying, hey, I'm stopping off at the grocery store. Would you like for me to pick up a chicken or pick up, like, being specific? And then also too, not making assumptions that you know what they're going through. It's just those little things, and just sending a card, dropping a card. There's definitely, again, that feeling of isolation and nobody really knows how I feel. So we just hope that maybe some of the things that we do and that you'll learn about today, you can kind of reach out to us and join us at Fairy Godmother Project. So who are we and what do we do? So let's start again with saying that we serve Planning District 16, which many of you know, City of Fredericksburg, Caroline, King George, Spotsy, and Stafford. And then we also have some limited services with Northern Neck, as well as North Orange, due to the relationship with UVA. It is very, very, very important that that we make sure that the area knows that no child is going to receive their chemo, radiation, immunotherapy in our area. They will absolutely have to travel outside of the area, DC, Richmond, Charlottesville, and beyond. So our assisting them with transportation costs, such as gas cards and getting gas cards donated, is huge. And so, again, we're doing something unique where we're focusing in on that caregiver when a family reaches out to us. And sometimes we find out through the doctor, through the school, through the church. But when we finally have that conversation and the person, the primary caregiver, usually the mom, decides they would like to enroll as an FGP family, we want to make sure they know that we're here to discuss with them about their needs, what's going on with them. And so that might be emotional, financial, social support. But again, we're focusing in on what the primary caregiver is identifying as what is the needs at that time. And it could be because the diagnosis has just come in. It could be that the child is finishing up treatment, but maybe there's a relapse has occurred. And sadly, maybe it is a bereavement situation. We call our families that have lost a child to pediatric cancer our stargazers. And so what do we mean again by that? The primary caregiver, defined as the guardian that's responsible for the child. And then active treatment, again, since pediatric cancer has a lot of different aspects to it, it's something that is a current intervention that is trying to help treat that cancer. We're often asked about eligibility, and we're often asked about a waiting list. There is no waiting list. We do not turn families away. We have a very robust participatory board that makes sure that we go out and try to access resources through donations, grants, in kind to make sure we're serving families. You see right here, the only eligibility is that primary caregiver has said, I would like to sign up. We cannot force people to take these services, that they live in the service area that I just mentioned about PD16 and some of the other areas, and that the child is in active treatment. Now, as I said, sometimes a child comes to us for active treatment, they go to remission, then they have to go back to active treatment. That's when we have to talk to the doctor about confirmation of treatment. So there is no income requirement or other requirements that you might think happen in an application process. And now we get to what I was talking about those very day-to-day burdens and trying to ease it out. Fairy Godmother Project was started in 2011 by two moms, Andy Ayers and Stephanie Maurer. They saw a mom in their neighborhood that they just knew something was not right. There was a struggle there. The car had moved, the grass had not been cut. So they went knocking on the door and they found out what was going on. And it was a child that had been diagnosed with cancer. So they said, okay, let's galvanize, let's get together. So slowly but surely, this developed into the Fairy Godmother Project. And these services developed that you see here on the screen from the families reporting, this would be helpful. This would be really beneficial. Our bi-monthly meal making, we do crock pot, freezer-ready meals. We do the bi-monthly snack bags, which is so important with all the travel that has to occur with going to treatment and appointments. And then, of course, I mentioned the gas cards. Those are just paramount. And then, you are living your life, and then this unimaginable diagnosis comes in. It doesn't mean things stop, such as a car breaking down or the air conditioner not working or a heat not working. And so we deal with some financial relief and emergency funds. Stephanie Maurer, one of the co-founders, is a professional photographer, marketing professional. And so we've had a lovely photography program that has been happening throughout this program, making sure that memories are captured. Because, of course, sadly, we have lost children. And then we have different partners throughout the community that help us make sure that if school supplies are needed or other things, we want to respond to what families are telling us could very much help ease the burden. Medical bills are astronomical, anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000 a year, just as those copays and insurance premiums and extra visits. Anything that revolved around medical, it's a massive burden. So anything that we can take off, given they're dealing with something so unimaginable, is what we try to do with these services and programs. The things that we need support for that are here on this next slide, I'm going to kind of go actually bottom up. We've tried to purposely create more events so that families can be together to support one another. We just had a trunk or treat event where Funland, they completely clean and disinfect and sterilize their arcade area and open early for us. And then we have the trick or treating for the children. It's a great way for them to come together. And we have other groups that do that as well for us. Any type of community cares type of event. Then also we have groups, individuals and groups that adopt a family for 6 months so that there can just be this constant kind of flow of a little bit of, we're thinking of you, we are seeing you, we hear you. And then I've been somebody who's rung that bell and it's like, okay, now what? So remission relief is a way to kind of still keep those families connected by also providing care packages, just because it is still an anxious time. Okay, I've done treatment. They say I'm in remission, but what if? So it's another important kind of bridge to help our families. And then I alluded to the snacks and gas cards. Gas, astronomical. We know this from current pricing, but also just think of the amount. Just imagine if you were driving all the time to get to appointments, to get treatment. Radiation is every day often when you have a radiation treatment. And then if you're just getting started, you may need to be inpatient with chemo because of checking your levels, your blood type, those types of things. Lead volunteers, we have volunteers that do all kinds of things for us, right? They deliver, they do events, but the lead volunteers are the ones who are going to say, yes, I can invest some time here for both training, but also to make sure that I'm available to a family, to be that conduit and to be that contact for an FGP family. So these are things that we always need, but I always want to make sure I make the impact about the lead volunteers, because we need to give those who have volunteered a little bit of a respite so that they're not carrying too many families all at once. So definitely reach out to us if you think these are things that you would be interested in. So I've kind of alluded to this already, in the sense that we want to make sure that we are not treating a family like a cookie cutter, that we recognize that each family is different and every cancer that a child has is different, and what their needs are going to be could change at any moment. So this monthly point system that we created helps them kind of pick what's going to be helpful to them at that month. And of course, their lead volunteer can also suggest to us, hey, have you thought about this? Can we talk about this? There's a need. Again, emergencies might pop up that are separate too, but are adding a burden upon the child with cancer. So we always want to have the open lines of communication with the family to make sure that how we've set up these programs and services are meeting their needs. So again, just to kind of make sure that I stated how our families kind of are part of programs. You know, they're in these active treatment programs. We provide the services, and then we hope they move into remission relief, and we'll provide some of these programs, and hopefully they'll go into survivorship. And then sadly, we do have to support and be there for families that are going through a loss. Most important thing amongst everything they've said is that we do not force families to be part of FGP, and we certainly don't force them to continue to be part of FGP. They let us know their comfort level. They let us know when they say, you know, thank you, I think we're good here. So we have Stargazer families that might be completely active with events and retreats and want to have remembrances and events, and some who say, thank you, we'll take that card that you send to us once a year, and that's fine. And some who've said, thank you, we're done. And that's okay. And we kind of use that as a model to help those who want to help families know that, you know, listen and just hear what is needed and don't assume. So that is how we kind of operate, how we do our programs. And again, one of the reasons that we reach out to the community to help is that this is all based on donations, all based on donations of time and grants and individual donations. And also because we're serving more families than ever, we have 29 right now that are actively in treatment, and they're with us for longer because they're in treatment longer. And we find out about these families from you. Word of mouth is huge. People sharing, hey, I heard about, you should check out. But we also know that, of course, the doctors and the treatment centers, but also schools and places of worship, they're the first people often the families share what has occurred, because it's a place that they have spent so much time as parents, as guardians, and all of a sudden they might not be attending school, right? And it might be the siblings are also having a difficult time, or they're not attending church as they were. And so we really want to make sure that we're connecting with these organizations and groups or what have you, so that they know that we exist and they don't let a family slip through the cracks. Because that's the worst thing for us, is when we hear a family that could have used us and just didn't get to us in time. And I kind of went ahead of myself here, but this just kind of goes again to say, you know, we're a local organization. We're so lucky to have local support. We have been able to get some, people have moved out of our area that continue to donate to us, which is lovely. A few national organizations that will provide some support, like Wawa and Sheets, for gas cards. It's a wonderful thing. So we want to continue that, and we want to continue to thank the local community and say, you absolutely make an impact. You 100% make a difference in the lives of families facing pediatric cancer. We have a big fall because September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. So we do a lot of awareness and we do our Day of Giving. And we are so thankful to the community for helping us meet our goal, which we usually set at about 32,000, and that was met. And then October is when we are very humbled by families who have lost children to pediatric cancer, do tournaments and fundraisers and things like that. So first Friday of October is always Carter's Crusaders Golf Tournament. And just this past Saturday, October 25th, usually always the last Saturday in October, was the Josh Hardy Superhero event. Really, the community steps up and helps us out, and we are so thankful to them. April is our Big Stardust Ball. That is our big event. So be on the lookout for that. That is April 25th, 2026 at the Silk Mill. And again, we just do events throughout the year to raise awareness and to raise funds with our community. All of this is on our website. It's a great website with tons of resources, www.fgpinfo.org, and you can reach out to us there. And again, you can support in so many different ways. We have a lot of different volunteers. Like I said, some are delivering, and it's awesome. Some of them collect the snacks and make our snack bags. Some of them are part of our committees for our different events to make sure that we get registration and we get raffle items and things like that. We have our first ever trivia event happening on November 2nd, which I think this airs after, but keep on our website, Loudenbach Brewing, Strange Ways Brewing, people like that, they'll do events for us. So attending our events, signing up as a monthly donor, volunteering your time, it all helps. It all shows support to our families. I think my screen just went blank, but I just want to say thank you to our wonderful library for inviting me to be part of the Lunch and Learn. And again, if you have any questions, just reach out to Fairy Godmother Project, and we are at www.fgpinfo.org. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for telling us about this, important organization, and for all the statistics, and letting us know how, if people want to volunteer, they can certainly do that. So again, thank you, Jen, for
Absolutely. Thank you.